Welcome back, everybody, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Madden 20 franchise rebuild. We're now on to episode 140 in the year 2041. Now, last episode, we kind of had another up and down year, which kind of lines up with our 9-7 season from a year ago. So, I did want to go into this trade deadline trying to be aggressive because I still think there are areas on the team we have to make better, and I don't necessarily see the opportunity to do so in the next draft. I also look at this roster and say that we have a lot of really solid players we can continue building around, but we've got to speed up the process somewhere. And I'm not sure what happened here at center, if Joyner has actually been playing. I set the depth chart, and then players get hurt, they come back, and sometimes the game just... it takes over depth chart control, even though I have it set to user. I do not understand that whatsoever. So let's see if Joyner, at 56 overall, has been playing. 48 downs played, 58 downs played. He's been playing the entire season. I had no idea. So thank you for pointing that out in the comments last episode. I have no clue why the game rebalances depth chart when you can specifically tell it to let the user do it only. And even then, if the CPU is going to take over any kind of decision making, go by overall rating at the very least. Alright, so we went 4-3, even though Joyner was starting at center, and hey, he got some good development out of it. There we go. Backup center Clayton Joyner. I'm kind of confused about something because I seem to remember in that last episode we had 52 players on the roster and suddenly we had 53. And sometimes there's an issue in the game when there's an injury and it takes a week for it to count properly. And then I also noticed in my things to do menu there was a time when it said a practice squad player was signed. Alright, I'm checking the transaction log here because I didn't sign anybody from our practice squad. 2041 week 1, we signed Clayton Joyner to a 1-year contract. I did not do that though. All this stuff is set to manual. I don't know, I'm not going to spend more time on it this episode. I just have to pay a little bit better attention there. Anyway, trade deadline, I want to make a move for an impact linebacker. I've talked about that as one of my focuses on defense, getting a really high quality starter there. And I like our linebackers, but I still think that we'd just be better overall with another star in the middle. They don't even necessarily have to play middle linebacker, but we need probably at least another linebacker for this sub-linebacker role. Also, before we get too far, I know that Madden 21 is around the corner. I know I have not been very excited for the game, and I still haven't wrapped this one up, even though I intended to a long time ago, but then we learned about Madden 21 and I'm like, alright, I don't know what I want to do. I'm just gonna keep making the same videos. But I'm sure many of you would like to see a brand new rebuild series, and you can leave feedback on that down below. I'm not looking to do a brand new franchise on the main channel right now, just not enough new stuff, and I have a great franchise that's going on Madden 20. And I'm really enjoying my time with that. But as far as this channel goes, kind of my outlook has been end Bucs sometime. I mean, there is a defined end to franchise mode 30 years in. We're not quite there. But now the Madden 21 release is kind of coming out of nowhere, as I thought it was coming out next week. And now I guess they got 4 different release dates or something. I can play it, I guess, Thursday on PC apparently. No idea, but I will have some 21 footage coming. But my overall plan with this series is to just keep making episodes until I have had my fill, and then we'll just sim the rest and take franchise to the very end. We likely will not see players like Jeffrey Kitchen retire because there's just not enough time. You really get 1 or 2 solid eras here in franchise that can start and conclude. But y'all came for some franchise action. Let's get to it now and stay on topic here. We have no cap space. That's right. That could be a problem. If we want to add a linebacker, what are our options anyway? So at inside linebacker, there are some really good players here, and I'm happy to see that some players in the mid-20s for age ended up getting to these high ratings. I had to keep adjusting the XP sliders so this stuff would actually happen. We can look at outside linebackers as well. I just don't want to add somebody who's only a pass rusher. I need somebody who can play well in coverage. So, let's find somebody. Now, J.C. Hairston is one of the few players here that I expect would still be on his rookie contract. 89 overall, superstar dev. This would not be easy to pull off, but wow, he has like cornerback coverage ratings and safety speed. 91 zone, 83 man, and that's at linebacker. Linebackers are covering players whose route runnings don't exceed the low 80s very often. So J.C. Hairston is about as perfect a coverage linebacker as you're going to find in the league right now. What would it take besides creating some cap space? I think that one of the best ways for us to make room has been to trade Brendan Galloway, which might not fix this entirely. This would at least balance the cap room a bit better. And they have very little interest in Brendan Galloway. What about Brendan Galloway plus a first-round pick? I wonder. First, I want to test the second-round pick. I'm willing to give up a pick here. I mean, I can't address this in the draft, so I'd like to do it now. This is actually much tougher than I expected. I think the low 90s or the high 80s are just too high overall for us to make a move. So if we go down, now we have Tyrone Powell, Kareem Price, players who could potentially be signed for multiple seasons. Powell has great speed and coverage ratings as well, and he's a lot lower in overall, and doesn't have superstar dev either. Yeah, the trading really isn't getting a whole lot easier, and if we keep going down in overall, then we're just getting closer to the players we already have, who are in the high 70s. Daniels, and then Dorsett, who is our best. If we check out the trade block, we typically don't see players above the low 70s, so the trade block isn't all that helpful. There are a couple teams that really like Brendan Galloway, but one of those teams I can't really make a deal with. The Philadelphia Eagles are already in a bad cap situation, and if they were to trade for Galloway, they'd be 10 over the cap. So how does that work? Because does that mean they're already under the cap and they have to do something? Like, what's going on with Philadelphia here? Yeah, apparently negative $5 million in cap space. So how are they playing? There has to be some sort of rule in place for teams that are over the salary cap. Look, I know the cap in real life can easily be manipulated, and we all say the salary cap is fake. Well, this would be like really fake. Like, they're in the hole and it doesn't matter. They're gonna suit up and play on Sunday. Come on now. Oh, I see what happened. They paid Jamal Clancy big money on a brand new contract, so they are over the cap, and they're gonna have to release somebody. We should pay attention to what the Eagles do, because they might be cutting a pretty good player if they have to clear $5 million in cap space to move on. I want to know what they do. This is really interesting. They've actually signed a lot of players this season. Cal Cooper, $41 million for a year. Not bad. We're almost to Mahomes money. $12 million here for Zach Griffey. I guess they gave the contract to Clancy. Oh, week 1. Didn't scroll down to find it. 4 for 56, 3 for 47. This team is just throwing out huge contracts. So this is the week, right, that they gotta clear space, because they haven't released anybody amidst all these signings, really. All right, so that leaves one team who would have a lot of interest in trading for Brendan Galloway, and that would be the Miami Dolphins, who would also be over the cap if they brought him in. So we'd have to make a move that cleared $3 million of space for them, and that means we wouldn't really be able to get a good pick, because we'd have to get a good player and the value would just throw it off. And so we'd have to find a player here making the right salary we'd want to add. Somebody like Kevin Sherwood, 78 overall linebacker. It is a position of need for us, but he's not a great pass defender, he is a good run defender. And our run defense has already been fine this season, so I don't think that's the right trade. I wouldn't mind a pick, but there's just not a deal here that works. I wish there was some kind of way that we could pay his salary and still trade him, because we have the cap space, and then just get a pick. So after all of that, I don't see a deal that we can really make. I was willing to give up the first round pick, but to get these linebackers, the trades are just more difficult than I expected. So we move on, and we'll take on the Atlanta Falcons here to start things. Now that's more like it, 27-0. Like I said, the run defense is fine. We allowed 14 yards on the ground, 14. 2 picks for Dwight Farmer. This was another game where Kitchen, he didn't play that well. The numbers are really uninspiring. But we run the football with authority. Ellis Norton, a $152 scores, 57 after contact. Love it. Galloway, still on the team, 62 himself. And then for receiving, Barry Roy found the end zone, but obviously not going to have much here in terms of production. And then on the defensive side, great job by the run defense. Seymour and Dempsey pick up sacks. How about the tackle numbers here? I don't normally check these out too heavily, but I mean, we held them to 13 yards. Dorsett, 7 tackles. Daniels had 7. Handful of tackles for loss. Oh, that's actually quite a few. And the picks, 2 of them to LaCambrick Massey. Nicely done. Second 2-pick game this year. All right, so going back to the transactions now. The Philadelphia Eagles had to make a move. They have negative cap space. So where is the move? Whoa, a safety in the 5th round who has late 1 talent. Lawrence Ballantyne from Ferris State. That's also really lucky because this is not the deepest safety class. Very few players projected to go super early. But actually, there's a good value here. A lot of good safeties, actually. 2nd round talents, 3rd round talents. Better than I thought it was going to be when I saw very few projected in the first few rounds. Sometimes the draft has trends like that. All right, so we just had our bye week. We're 5-3 on top of the NFC South. That's great. But I want to know about the Philadelphia Eagles right now. I want to know what they are doing to fix their cap situation. They are just not doing anything, hoping no one notices. Now, all these deals they're making, they're extensions, so that money doesn't really affect this year, but it says negative $5.1 million in cap space, and it affected whether or not we could make trades with them, so something is off. The Bucs are playing a whole lot better now, 21-20, just a 1-point win, but we don't lose. Jeffrey Kitchen doesn't have a big game, a pick, 72% complete. He's not throwing the ball a ton in these games, and I am fine with that. Although in this game, it seems that was more to do with us losing the time of possession battle than running the football well. The Saints had more pass attempts than us. Actually, it's even. Devontae Orr threw 1. And then running the football, Blaylock 20 carries, Reed 8, Cole 5. So we didn't run the football super well or anything in this game at all. Just made the most of our possessions, I guess. And Daryl Kincaid, 7 for 91. Love seeing that. A couple sacks here, Callaway and Macklin. Going into our next week, though, we do have a new injury on the team, and it's to Mike Galloway, our second tight end, who will miss the rest of the season. He might be able to return in the playoffs, but that's a big loss. The win streak comes to an end against New England, where we put up only 263 yards of offense. Come on, another under 200-yard day for Jeffrey Kitchen. 18 for 25. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, yards per attempt, 7.5. Again, lost the time of possession battle. They ran the ball 16 times with Nate Slay, 19 or 17 times with Bradley Houghton. Not sure how to pronounce that last name. Kitchen ran 4 times, that's kind of random. But 7 points. So we've seen some weird stuff from the offense in the simming. Of course, the episode last time out wasn't a very good one. It was boring. We're still getting in some very key upgrading. Tavares Springs up 2 overall points now as a rookie. 2 awareness, pass block finesse, run block gets some love there. That's now sitting at 67. Taking a look at some more future contract situations, I would like to make a couple offers this week. And we'll start with Casey Dean at defensive tackle. He's just so good at only 27 years old. And I would like to make this 3-year offer of $33.5 million, but it's just not enough. I do have to decide if I'm going to offer to Donnell McQueen or not. He's another one of our younger free agents. And this season, he's put up decent numbers, but overall, the passing game has just not been that good. And I'm not sure if it's the receivers, if it's Kitchen, a combination of both. But the pass game is just really lackluster. We bounce back with a victory, not putting up big offensive numbers or anything, but we're back in the win column. 2 scores in this one for Jeffrey Kitchen. We get 65 on the ground for Ellis Norton and 46 for Brendan Galloway. And receiving, Donnell McQueen, 60 yards and a score. Roy found the end zone as well. And for the defense, Casey Dean, 2.5 sacks. The contract just became $10 million more expensive. I do think it would be really cool in Madden if they could factor in stat production into these contract offers. It cares way too much about overall, doesn't care about role, like in the case of backup quarterback, for instance. They still ask for like $12 million a season. Sometimes a little bit less, but still a lot more than you want to pay. Casey Dean, if he's having a really big season, like, I think that the fair offer should fluctuate if he's having, you know, a really big year or a down year. I'd like to see movement there. But let's up this, $35 million now over 3 years. There we go, 3-year extension, done. Alright, these are the kinds of weeks that help us build our team. A lot of upgrading this time around for young players who are making a difference, getting a lot of playing time. Starting here with Anthony Savage, now at a 75 overall. Then we go to the rookie Daryl Kincaid. I would like to go with the deep threat archetype here. He's now a 75 overall. Gets awareness, deep route running, and some release. And here we see the development now. Unlocked its star development. So, the worst of the hidden devs, but still great foundation here for a great career. Then we have Markel Daniels also upgrading and becoming a scheme fit linebacker at 76 overall, getting 4 block shed in the process. And of course, we want to see what can happen with Sylvester Colombo, and we're developing him a lot differently than the other receivers, as route running and the slot role is more of the focus there, even though we have McQueen playing it. I wasn't too sure about this matchup. The Lions had a pretty good record. I felt like we were a little overrated, but we come away with a 35-14 victory. Convincing win now with 3 touchdowns from Jeffrey Kitchen. He's not going to have splashy yard totals this year. I wonder where that's going to end up. Ellis Norton's going to have a lot of rushing yards, though. $165 in this game. And then receiving, McQueen, 61 and a touchdown. I think if you, like, projected McQueen's numbers in a more pass-heavy offense, the production would be really, really strong. So I'm kind of leaning towards giving him the contract offer. Roy scored, Kincaid scored as well. And on defense, only 14 points allowed. Great job today. We're having a good episode. We are going to make this offer to Donnell McQueen. I like the production so far. It's going to have to come up a little bit. We'll work on that. Win streak snapped once again now. 24-17 is the final. We put up 377 yards of offense. And Jeffrey Kitchen threw for 2 interceptions in this game, 25 for 43. Again, the yards per attempt is not there. We're not getting big plays, and I thought we'd actually be pretty good at getting those. I thought Gardner could have a pretty big season, but he's not really been productive at all. Kincaid, 7 for 73. Gardner now, I think that's a season high, 4 for 40 yards. and not much else here. If we go to the defense, not as good of a game this week. We got some pass rush and 1 interception for Perry Byers. Returning to Donnell McQueen. All right, let's increase this signing bonus $500,000. That is still not good enough. Now the division race is heating up a bit. The Panthers are behind us, and here we have the head-to-head against them in Week 15. If we win, looks like the division is ours this year. If not, last 2 weeks get very interesting. There you have it. Buccaneers are going back to the postseason, and the defense played another really strong game. I did not think this would be a defensive football team this year, but I think that's what we're seeing. The offense really isn't doing a lot that's special, as Donnell McQueen puts up one of his best games of the season. Now, the offense can run the football pretty well, but I think, all in all, the offense is a lot closer to average, while the defense seems to be pretty solid. Very few bad weeks, very few big games allowed. If we check out what our opponents have scored, I mean, we saw 27 back in Week 1. We saw 35 here against the Panthers, 34 against the Dolphins, but the vast majority of our games, we've held our opponents under, 3 touchdowns, and we should win all those games, especially with the talent on our offense. Philadelphia, meanwhile, is still $5 million under the salary cap. Have they made any more moves? They still have Brewer and Bishop unsigned at the moment. We lose again to the New Orleans Saints, allowing 441 yards of offense. We lose by 1. 2 scores in this one for Jeffrey Kitchen, 19 for 27 passing. Ellis Norton, 64 yards on the ground. Marco Henderson, a very big game for the New Orleans offense. Norton led us in receiving, actually. So a pretty weak performance here, but we have clinched the division. We'll go to the postseason either at 9-7 or 10-6. We are now raising the offer for Donnell McQueen, and actually he earned an upgrade recently. So the fair offer is up, and I'll have to offer a bit more than that even. So here we go, another one. And this time McQueen does sign an extension with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we are going to the postseason with a 9-7 record. So not a tremendous season for us by any stretch. Same record as last year, just a weak division that we did play well in. So we will be on Wild Card Sunday with our game, and we are going to sim the playoffs here unless we make it to the Super Bowl. And honestly, with this team, I don't think we're going to make it very far. I just don't think, first of all, we have the consistency to win all those games in a row. We were very inconsistent today. We end up losing 3 out of our last 4 going into the postseason. So I think we're going to see a very short run here, but let's go through the numbers on the season and see what we can learn about this team. A 9-7 year, though, with the number 9 offense and the number 24 defense. And I know I said I felt like this was more of a defensive team. I think the points would reflect that, right? Yeah, 7th in points allowed. Who cares about yards? So very, very weird numbers on the season. Good yardage on offense, bad points, and the inverse for defense. Jeffrey Kitchen, 25-11 here, far from prolific passing numbers. And if we look at his history now, he has a few years of starting history. He has not been trending in the right direction. Yards per attempt has dropped every year since his first year starting, although the first 2 years, I don't really care about the drop there. Touchdowns were up significantly. But now, we're losing yardage, we're losing yards per attempt, we're losing completion percentage. I guess we're not seeing more interceptions, but we're not getting the good stuff. Now, Ellis Norton had a really big season here. 1,500 yards rushing, one of the best in his career. Not the best, but very close. 1,723 is still his career high, and he's been over 1,300 now for the last 6 years. Donnell McQueen leads us in receiving, putting up production that is very similar to Clancy's production. Daryl Kincaid ends up with a pretty good rookie season. Barry Roy's numbers were a little bit up this year. And then Tremont Gardner, 425 yards. I was hoping for a bit more this season. On the defensive side of things, 12.5 sacks for Casey Dean. That's pretty solid. 9.5 for Gilbert Macklin. And 6.5 for Sylvester Seymour. For INTs, of course, LaCambrick Massey, he got those in 3 games. 2 multi-pick games, he ends up with 5. I can't imagine we're winning any awards, but I guess last episode we saw the league MVP, Chris Stewart, for the Buffalo Bills. And let's go check out these awards now. Cal Cooper, Offensive Player of the Year. Leo Decker on defense. Tay Randolph wins Offensive Rookie of the Year with Daryl Kincaid coming in 3rd place. Terrell Burns wins Defensive Rookie of the Year for the LA Rams. And here are the rest of these NFC awards. Cassius Sampson beats out Ellis Norton for top running back on the season. LaCambrick Massey, best DB. We like that. For career stats, here's where we are for everybody. Ellis Norton now 12.8 thousand with 120 touchdowns. Receiving, Donnell McQueen is the active leader in all 3 major categories. Barry Roy close in touchdowns and 4 sacks. Sylvester Seymour is now at a $157. DeJuan Bailey still at 34 INTs. All right, everybody, playoffs getting underway. This team is not going into the postseason with much momentum whatsoever. Not positive momentum anyway. There is definitely some negative momentum, losing 3 of 4. But now against the Rams, can we pull off the win at home and make this more than a one-and-done campaign? We have lost in overtime to the LA Rams, 23-17. Well, we tried to pull off a comeback. We tied it to force overtime, but our season is done. Hunter Schrader, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Jeffrey Kitchen, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for him. Again, just could not get the big plays or much going. Receiving, Kincaid did have 64 yards and a score. Overall, this was a very disappointing year, I would say. I felt like we could see the team be a lot better, and they were very similar to a year ago. We just got fortunate enough that it was good enough to go to the playoffs. So that's it for our season. All right, we'll check out some Pro Bowlers now. Cal Cooper made it, so the Eagles did not go to the Super Bowl this season. Ellis Norton did make it to the Pro Bowl once again. He pretty much does every single year. And along the offensive line, we see Leonard Lester, Denzel Hakeem. For defense, Damian Burgess made it. So did Casey Dean. Deshaun Dotson made it to the Pro Bowl as well. LaCambrick Massey, Brandon Hurst. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, how about a Bay Area Super Bowl then? San Francisco and Oakland for the title. That's an interesting matchup. And here is the Super Bowl result. San Francisco scores the victory in dominant fashion, 24-7 over the Oakland Raiders. I don't know much about either of these teams. They have not, I don't think they've been top teams in recent years. So I don't recognize most of these players. When I think about San Francisco in this series, I know they had some really good receivers, but they retired a long time ago. So I don't even know anybody here. San Francisco was the top seed, though, in the overall NFL, it looks like. There were only 2 11-win teams. So the league is trending more towards just like average records. This is weird. 23 teams were at least 8-8. So there were some really, really bad teams, but no like really, really good teams. That's weird. How do you have 2/3 of the league have average records? So 9-7, like, really, how do you even break the tie for these teams in deciding who's better? That's ridiculous. So you're telling me There is an 8-8 team that missed the playoffs that will pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. So there will be an 8-win team picking top 10. Meanwhile, we're a 9-win team, and we're going to pick in the mid-20s because we made the playoffs. Alright, it's the offseason. I almost advanced past it. Not this time. Let's check out anything that's happened here as far as retirements go. Do we want to look at the overall league? Yeah, let's go with that. DeLon Bailey has retired. Sylvester Seymour, his second retirement of the series. I think this time he is retiring for good. What a great run, Sylvester Seymour. These last 2 years weren't what I hoped for the team, but it was cool to see him come out of retirement. And for development, did anything change? Not on offense. If we go to defense, Dotson, Superstar X Factor. Now, how long has he had that? That's new. Okay, X Factor for Dotson. We like that. Brandon Hurst has Superstar Dev. Okay. Defensive backs, I've had a lot of success getting their upgrades. So, there you have it, everybody. Another year in the books for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rebuild. Again, I haven't really done much to wrap up the series. I've just continued to make episodes. Do you want to see another offseason? Do you want to see me go through another quick year and see if we turn the team around? I want to know your feedback on what you want. Would you like to see me just work on ending it now for real this time? Let me know in the comment section below. Please leave a like if you had a good time with this video and subscribe to the channel. And just thank you all for supporting this series. It's been a really big one. I've enjoyed it. But obviously, we're coming up on the end of it. It's just a matter of when exactly. I'll see you all next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.